Ladies and gentlemen, 5 years ago, we were a calm and proud country, united and secular, independent and sovereign. Syria is a country with more than 7,000 years of civilization. With creative and educated people, we didn't know terrorism or criminality. We were famous for our hospitality. We opened our doors and houses for everyone who has been in need. For Palestinian, Lebanese, Iraqis, Armenians, etc. And we were never been a refugee. From a country with free health care for every citizen to a country suffering to provide the basic medicine because of the systematical destruction of its medicine factories by the terrorists. Beside the big effect of the European sanctions, especially on the cancer treatments medicines. I can tell you many stories about cancer patients couldn't continue their treatment, waiting to die, or died already, because they can't afford to buy the medicine from the black market. Those victims are not mentioned in the Western media, the victims of the European sanctions. We started to see diseases. We got rid of them since many years in Syria, like polio, hepatitis, with more than 50% of the hospitals destroyed. It started to be harder and harder to vaccinate children, especially in the areas under the control of the terrorists. Those terrorists who brought many diseases from their countries, like Afghanistan. Hundreds of destroyed schools, thousands of children losing their chance to study. In a country which was taking its last steps to be a first or the most developed country in the Middle East with a free and obligated education. It's a big issue facing us now, and it will be a hard challenge after the war. Today in Syria, people don't have electricity for more 2 or 3 hours continuously a day. Aleppo was in a total dark for the last year because of the targeting of the stations or electricity stations by terrorists, or not having enough fuel, as our petrol production reduced from 385,000 barrels to 9,000 a day. We had enough for Syrian use, and we exported the rest to Europe. While it is under the control of ISIS now, sold to Europe through Turkey. European Union claim to fight ISIS in one hand, while they are supporting them with millions of dollars in the other hand. Having the basic needs is a human right in the modern world. It starts to be a luxury in Syria. Maybe having a full day with electricity is a dream. According to ESQA, the unemployment percent is 82%. To make one thing clear, I speak to you as ordinary citizen of my country. I'm neither a politician or a public relation officer. I volunteered in a social and humanitarian projects in my country, in my hometown, Latakia. I worked with children, students since 2011. Since 2011, the future of those children and students get more and more destroyed by terrorists, who are called rebels in European media. Dear ladies and gentlemen, despite of those statics, hard and painful facts about the situation in Syria, we still have around 18 million Syrian citizens living in Syria, fighting against unfair sanctions and embargoes from the EU, against ISIS and hundreds of other terrorist groups, many of them backed by the West as moderate groups, fighting every day to find enough food for our children, because we are raised and learned a country we don't defend, we don't deserve to live in it. Nowadays, Europe is facing one of the biggest challenges in the century. It is not refugee crisis, as it is called. It is an immigration invasion. Every time the German Chancellor, Mrs. Merkel, makes an announcement about refugees, more boats leave to Europe. I think human smugglers consider her as their best partner. Maybe they would like to share their profits with her. She is making publicity for them. She is not an angel. She is a partner in the smuggling crimes that the world witnesses today and every day. Angela Merkel could be called angel of death, gravedigger of Syria and Europe. What the German chancellor does to Syrians is horrible. We lost in the wave of immigration thousands of doctors, engineers, good workers, and homeland defenders, while we are so much in need for them to rebuild our destroyed country. Every time I hear the announcements of some ministers in EU saying we need those cheap workers, we will use them to make our economy better, or saying we need more working hands. I remember a say we have in Syria, who doesn't do good for his people and homeland, he won't ever do good for any people or land. And I let the meaning for you. Most of them are not refugees. Most of them are economical immigrants. Besides the fact that hundreds of them are tourists with fake passports. There is a mafia business today, the migration business. It's cynical business because the godfather and mother, like Angela Merkel, show us their humanitarian smile while they destroy whole societies. We Syrians and you Europeans learn today an important literature. The humanitarian smile is the camouflage for the most inhuman politics. In the time that EU is paying billions for Turkey to control its shores, and is still not controlled, spending millions to integrate the immigrants in European societies. We have at least 8 million internal displaced persons in Syria living in our safe areas. Did you hear about them in the media? I don't think so, because they don't serve their interest. It is discrimination. I had the honor to serve them, to help them. I was volunteer for 3 years. Why did I say honor? Because they know what dignity means. They prefer to eat bread on going to another country. Those people would prefer to die in their land on leaving to another, ready to fight till the last breath they have. Because our dignity and our land are more precious than anything else. Syrian government and many Syrian NGOs are working to help the internally displaced people. They are between their people on their land, and it's our duty to do. The centers are open for everyone and full of thousands of volunteers willing to help and serve. Let me say a small thing here. I want to mention it that the population of my small city, Latakia, is tripled, and we are still able to manage it till this moment. Imagine that in your cities. You heard me talking about EU and Syria all the time, but let me make it clear here. We as Syrians make the difference between European citizens, European people, and their governments. We were always the gate of Europe, and the relation between our people is not born yesterday. It is existing since centuries. I was shocked when people insulted me as I accepted your invitation to talk here, saying that I work with right-wing party. And I said, no, they are the right side party. What is right and what is wrong? Right and good politics serve the people. It shapes the society to be better, and it is honest politics. We need to be honest. All people in the world are the same, and we all have the right of a peaceful and good life without fear. The victims of the war in Syria are the ordinary civilians. They are attacked, harmed, and killed by terrorists who are sponsored, supported, and armed by Turkey, KSA, EU, and US. Now the so-called refugee wave comes to Europe as one of the logical results of the destabilization of Syria and North Africa. And within this wave, many people enter Europe. They destroyed Syria before. But now the Europeans are about to suffer. I'm sorry to say that. The winner of this cynical game sit in Washington and Brussels, and with Angela Merkel in Berlin. The same politicians who did propaganda for terrorists in Syria, calling them rebels and the freedom fighters, are now opening the gates of Europe. I know about your party that you were always taking a strong position against both, against destroying my country and against destroying your country. I am here today, and as long as you are right, I will support you.